Welcome back. All right, so news of the day video I would have had done probably about a half an hour earlier, but if you haven't had a bunny, they're a good way to get yourself in shape because you'll find that they've somehow escaped their enclosure. Not sure how. We went through, couldn't figure it out, but they're in the neighbor's yard, so then you get to chase them around for a while, and it's good for the cardio and it's good for the sanity too, especially when 15 minutes earlier everything's fine, and then all of a sudden you're in the neighbor's yard. Okay, so but everything's fine. Bunnies are back, and yeah, everything's all right. But it's a bit of a workout to get them back. All right, so we're going to talk about some news of the day today. Preseason games start in 12 days, and my plan this year is to have full-on previews and reviews because we haven't had a preseason in 2 years. We didn't have a preseason for this past season. And of course, the season before that, there was the big long delay between the regular season and the postseason. So, yeah, we haven't had preseason games. This is new. Didn't have it last year. So I'm looking forward to that in 12 days. The regular season starts in 29 days, and it's about 2 weeks of preseason games. So we'll get a good chance to get an idea of how teams are doing. I'll update that power rankings board I'm looking at right there, which people can't see. And I can do a power rankings before the season gets started, and we'll see how things turn out. And regular season starts 4 weeks from tomorrow. Players are skating. So in some areas we're seeing for some teams that it's the rookie camps and development camps. But what we're also seeing is, I know the Oilers tweeted out today as an example, there are veterans who are there and skating around and getting ready. And odds are there's a lot of players who are kind of chomping at the bit to get into a regular setup and get the season going. So yeah, looking forward to that. Now, the reason I'm wearing Seattle is Ryan Donato signed a 1-year contract. This was announced yesterday, but it was officially filed with the league today. So the official signing date is now. And Donato is a really, at league minimum, there's absolutely no risk. He's a good bottom six guy who, again, and I mean, I've watched him in Boston. I've watched him in other locations. It's there. That offense is there. If anybody can figure that out, and he's 25, he's young enough that at some point it could click. But he ended up being an unrestricted free agent because it just hasn't yet. And he's been through multiple teams. And so Seattle, this might be his last chance. But again, we'll see whether or not that proves to be the case. But Seattle, adding depth here and there. And I think that's the smart move to make. Make sure you've got a lot of guys competing for those jobs in training camp. And then if you have to make cuts, you can make cuts. Toronto. The good news is Matthews expects to be ready for the season opener. At present, apparently wearing a cast, but he says that won't be a problem. And he said that he waited until August because he wanted to see if rest would make it better, and that he was dealing with a lot of pain and he was wondering, will rest work? And then at the point where, he gets back onto the ice and starts doing the workouts, it's like, no, the rest doesn't help. So he gets the surgery believing he'll be ready for the season opener. So he says he feels fine and should be back in time for the start of the Leafs season, which begins against the Montreal Canadiens. I believe it's October 13th. Crosby. Speaking of the surgeries that get done during the summer where people get all, why didn't they have it sooner? A lot of the time it's just they want to rest it and see if they actually need surgery. Because that's kind of how that works. The doctor goes, well, it might get better on its own. Do you want to have surgery? Your response might be, yeah, I'd rather not have surgery, so if I can avoid that. But yeah, Crosby's not expected to miss much. Ron Hextall's saying that long-term injured reserve won't be needed for him. He should be back pretty early on in the season. But Evgeny Malkin, they don't have a time frame. So he had knee surgery in June, and they're looking for a doctor to give them a timeline of exactly when he should be good to go. And it looks like at this point he won't take part in training camp, and so he'd go on long-term injured reserve to start the season. And a minimum of 24 days or 10 games has to be missed to put a player on LTIR. So that's a major chunk of the season. And yeah, that's the thing with Malkin, right? You're going to be dealing with injuries with Evgeny Malkin. It's just the style of game he plays, and he does get hurt, and he does end up missing time. But yeah, for Pittsburgh, we'll see how things go. We have yet to see exactly what the plan is going forward, but if Malkin's going to miss a month, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, you've got to think they're going to make some moves here. in order to shore up their center spot, which was rumored last week, and we may still see Tyler Bozak as the answer here. Jason Demers wants to stay in the NHL. He said he'd like to finish things out in Europe. He'd like to play in Europe, but for now, he wants to be a National Hockey League player, has yet to sign a contract. Believes he still has something to offer. I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't get a tryout from somebody. There has to be a team in the league that could at least employ Demers as a number 7 defenseman, but we'll see. There are usually surprises once we get into training camp time. Players who just don't get signed for whatever reason. So the aforementioned Bozak is still on the unrestricted free agent list. Zajac is there as well. There were rumors tying Zajac to the Islanders. That has yet to take place. But the Islanders, who keep getting older, wouldn't surprise me if Zajac ends up there. Bobby Ryan still on the unrestricted list. Eric Gustafson still unrestricted as well. Galchenyuk still unrestricted, might be the highest profile of the unrestricted free agents. Chason, who rumors last week were tying him to the Edmonton Oilers. James Neal is still out there as a UFA. Might he sign with one of the teams he's played for before? We'll see. Nikita Gusev is still out there. Tyler Ennis, who has also been tied to the Oilers and played for them last season. Eric Stahl, surprisingly, Eric Stahl is still out there. It doesn't mean he's not getting offers. It might mean he's waiting for the right offer. We'll see. Jimmy Vesey's still out there. I thought he was decent as a fourth-line option for Vancouver. Vancouver's decided to go in another direction. But, again, there's got to be a team that could employ him on a PTO through training camp and see what he can do. Zdeno Chara, who reportedly will only sign with an Eastern-based team. And so we'll see where Chara ends up. Patrick Marlow, again, we haven't heard yet for sure whether or not this is the end of the line for him. I get the feeling that it is, but San Jose signed him late before. Maybe they do it again. Toby Reeder, still out there. Del Cole is still out there on the younger side of the UFAs who are available. Again, that's one of those ones I'm mildly surprised we haven't seen, at least on a tryout, where a team hasn't said, you know what, we'll give him a tryout. If it doesn't work, it's fine. There's even less than no risk. There's not even a financial risk to that. And Devin Dubnyk headlines the goaltenders, other than Tuukka Rask, who will only sign in Boston. At least that's what he's saying right now, and we'll see if that is in fact the case. So it's an interesting UFA market right now in that the big names are gone. The names that remain are mostly your second tier, bottom 6, 5th, 6th defensemen, might be extra players, and Dubnyk would obviously be a backup goalie right now. But we're going to see some movement, and of course, what's not on the board is the RFAs, which nothing's happening with the RFAs. And again, I keep hearing, well, they're waiting on Kaprizov. Okay, but what if Minnesota doesn't sign Kaprizov? So that's the question I have is, so if he doesn't sign, are we just all waiting on whatever? It feels like we're playing quite the waiting game with the restricted free agents. And we keep hearing about how Pettersson and Hughes are working on it. Yeah, that's not, I didn't put that on the board because they're working on it. Okay, and now what? And of course, we're up to not that long before training camp, and the Sens believe they're going to have Brady Tkachuk signed before training camp. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. When will the RFA market thaw and we finally see some movement? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.